That was the closest I came to complete disaster in Gaul. We were marching towards the Nervii territory. They were one of the fiercest tribes, known for refusing to trade with Rome, and maintaining their warrior-like culture completely. We thought we had more time before engaging them. Our scouts said they were still days away.
But they weren't.
No, they knew we were coming, and they were waiting.
Walk me through it. What exactly happened at the Battle of Sabis?
We were marching toward the Nervii territory. They were one of the fiercest known tribes, and we thought we had more time before engaging them. Our scouts said they were still days away. So, we stopped to make camp on a hill near the river. The front legions were digging fortifications. The rear legions were still marching up. Everything was spread out, vulnerable. And then, out of nowhere, the Nervii attacked.
Just came out of nowhere?
Out of the forest on the far side of the river. Thousands of them, screaming, moving at a dead run. They crossed the river, which we thought would slow them down, but they cut right through it, like it wasn't even there. And they hit us while we were in the middle of setting up camp.
My God, so you're completely unprepared.
Worse than unprepared, we were vulnerable. Many of the men didn't even have their weapons ready. The rear legions were still marching up, and were staring at these warriors rushing at us from across the river.
So what do you do next?
Have you ever had one of those moments where everything is chaos, but things slow down and your mind just goes completely clear? I could see the whole battle at once, where we were failing, where we might hold, so I grabbed the nearest shield and I ran towards the worst of the fighting. From there, I just started directing, pulling together whatever units I could find, forming them up, and holding the line with my men.
So you're in the fighting yourself at this point?
I'm surrounded by it.
And how long do you think it lasted?
Hours, nearly the entire day. At one point, I looked around and realized we'd been pushed back to our own baggage stream. The camp followers, the non-combatants, they were all grabbing weapons and fighting as well. Everyone knew if we broke, we'd all be dead.
What turned things around for you?
Two things. First, the legions, the ones that hadn't been in position yet, they heard the fighting and came at a run, hit the Nervii from the side. Second, the Nervii weren't very strategic. They would never stop attacking. They just kept coming, kept pressing, even when they were exhausted. It's brave, but to the point of suicidal. Eventually, they'd lost so many men that they couldn't sustain it.
This sounds like a complete disaster. How many men do you think you lost in the battle?
Too many. I don't remember the exact numbers, but hundreds of legionnaires dead, many more wounded. However, the Nervii lost thousands more.
Man, what goes through your mind after a battle like that, particularly when you reflect on it, knowing you made mistakes that contributed to it?
First, there's relief. Pure relief that we're just still alive, that we held the line. But then, you see the cost. You really see it. I walked the battlefield after, and you can't help but take it in. The bodies, Roman and Nervii both. You count the toll in your head.
Are you still in command mode at this point?
You have to be. The wounded need tending. The camp needs securing. We still have enemies in the region, and what if they regroup? What if other tribes hear that we're vulnerable? So, part of your mind is already moving forward. Logistics, communications, what comes next. Making sure that the men see you're steady and that we're still in control.
But there's another part of your mind too, right?
Yeah, there's the part that's replaying every decision. If I'd sent better scouts, if I'd been more cautious about the pace of our march, if I'd positioned the legions differently. You recognize your own mistakes very clearly in hindsight, and you understand that men died because of them.
And how do you carry the weight of that?
You tell yourself it's the nature of command, that war is uncertain, that even the best of plans can fail. But then you quickly push that feeling down and focus on what's next, securing the victory we barely won, making sure my commanders knew they acted brilliantly under impossible circumstances. You owe them that recognition, and you owe it to the dead to make sure their sacrifice means something.
So you just push through it?
You have to. It's the only way forward.
So you keep going. And then what? More tribes? More battles?
Yes, Germanic tribes were crossing the Rhine, and there was this massive incursion led by Ariovistus. I had to deal with that as well. We pushed them back across the river, and then built a bridge across the Rhine, just to show Rome and the Germans that I could. We marched across it for a few weeks, and then came back and destroyed it.
Are you saying you built a bridge just to make a point?
Let's call it strategic psychology. The Germans thought the Rhine was an impenetrable barrier. I wanted to show them that it wasn't, and that Rome, that I could reach them anywhere.
Well, that's some serious flexing.
It was, but it worked. The tribes on the far side of the Rhine stayed quiet after that. They'd seen what I was capable of.
What about Britain? I heard that you invaded them as well. Is that true?
Twice, but the first expedition was almost a disaster. I landed with too few men and we underestimated the tides, nearly losing my ships. We claimed victory and we got out. The second time, however, that was much better planned and much more successful. But honestly, Britain was much more about the prestige than it was the strategy. No one from Rome had ever crossed the ocean to the island at the edge of the world, and I wanted to be the first.
So some of it is about military necessity, but it's also about building your legend.
Always both. Every campaign has strategic value, but I was also always conscious of how it would play in Rome. What story would it tell? How would it add to my reputation?
And how are you getting your reports back to Rome in order for people to read about your conquest?
I'm writing my commentaries. These were a series of writings that documented my account of the Gallic wars and beyond, and I'm sending them back to Rome, where they're copied and distributed. When doing so, I'm writing them in the third person. Caesar did this, Caesar did that, which makes them seem more objective in a way, more like history. But what I'm really doing is controlling my own narrative, you know?
That's brilliant, actually. You're creating the legend in real time.
Someone's going to tell my story. It might as well be me, right?
It's effective, I'll give you that. So you're clearly busy with all of the fighting, writing, and managing politics while far from home. But I'd like to take a step back for a moment, if I may, and just learn a little bit more about your personal life. Do you have any children back home that might be reading these reports as well?
Yes, my daughter Julia. She was my only child at the time.
And what is that relationship like?
It was complicated by distance, amongst other things. I'd see her when I went back to Rome during the winter months, but years would go by where I was in Gaul. And then there's the decision to marry her off for political reasons. You see, I married her to Pompey. She must have been 17, and Pompey was in his late 40s. It was a political alliance, done in order to cement the triumvirate, which you'll recall from earlier is that unofficial alliance between Pompey, Crassus, and myself.
And how did she feel about that?
Like most Roman daughters, she did what was expected of her, but I don't think I ever asked her how she felt. Not truly. I told myself it was a good match, that Pompey would treat her well, and that it served the family. But the truth is, I did it for my own political goals.
And her and Pompey, were they genuinely happy together?
Surprisingly, yes. From what I heard, Pompey genuinely loved her, and she seemed to love him as well, which somehow makes what I did worse because it worked out despite me arranging a marriage for my own self-interest.
And what happened to her?
She died in childbirth in 54 BC. She was only about 22 years old.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I was in Gaul when I got the news. A courier brought me a letter. My daughter was gone. Now I was hundreds of miles away commanding legions. I couldn't even return for the funeral. My campaigns, my political position, everything depended on me staying in Gaul.
Did you regret it? The distance, the constant focus on the campaigns?
Every day after that, you tell yourself you're building something important, that the sacrifice is worth it. But when someone you love dies and you weren't there for years, you realize nothing is worth that.
And what effect did that have on you?
It made me harder, I think, more ruthless, because I'd already lost what mattered most. So what else is there besides the ambition at that point, the conquest? I'd sacrificed my daughter for this path. I couldn't let that sacrifice be for nothing.
That's a dangerous way to think.
It is, because it means you double down, you commit more completely. You justify every escalation with the losses that came before it. And Julia's death? It didn't just break me. It broke my alliance with Pompey. The one personal bond holding our political arrangement together. It was gone. Without her?
The cracks were already forming.
Yes. And neither of us wanted to admit that everything was already in motion, that we were heading towards something neither of us could stop.